Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. If you're joining from Twitch, let's see, Facebook, I want to thank you and everybody in the Chatmosphere who's first here, Love and Nitra. Hello there. How are you? And welcome. Your name is new to me. Molly, hello. And Daryl, Dr. EMB, thank you for joining. And PH Joy, hey there. I love it. So you leave the door open. I have a special guest today. I'm calling him our guest professor, okay? And I have to tell you, this gentleman right here is a powerhouse of intellect. I told him that a lot of times, he may not know it, but I go to him. He's a go-to for me. I like to hear what he has to say. So you know how you have certain people you like to filter information through? He is one of those gentlemen, Good Brother, and I have been following his amazing content for a few years. And you know how content creators, they have had challenges with the platforms, and they change, maybe they change their channel name, and I lost him for a bit, and I reconnected. That's what happens to us. So I want to welcome this good brother. Okay, he goes by SupaSly. Okay, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself. Okay, but we're going to have a good time. I'm going to ask him a few things about spheres. I called this spheres. Okay, we hear so much about these spheres, so I thought it would be open ended and we could get a nice conversation going. Okay, so I'm going to welcome him, and I want you all to give him a nice warm welcome. Let's see. Oh, what happened? Bear with the stream here. It's a little sticky. Hello, SupaSly, good brother. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. How are you doing?
I'm good. No, thank you for having me. Yeah.
Doing good? Oh,
Yeah.
great. Well, everybody, I want you to welcome Professor. You're a professor today, okay? You're a professor of the night class here. And I have asked our good sister Karen to mod, and I'm trying to see if I can do it can I do it from StreamYard, or do I have to go into YouTube to do it?
So to mod somebody up,
Mm-hmm. Do I have
you
to go
should be
in?
able to do it either through StreamYard or actually through YouTube. So you just click on the name and it gives you the options: add, remove, some
Right.
add moderator, and you should just be able to mod them up that way.
Okay. I'm going to try it. Okay. Oh, 420. He says I have to do it from YouTube. Okay. Because that's what I've been trying to do it from StreamYard, you all. That's my problem. So let me try to do this. And brother, can you just give I call them our Chatmosphere. Can you give them a introduction of like who you are, and your, channel name, and just,
Yeah. Brief summary.
mhm.
Former A&R of Capital, Universal, Priority Records. Just a guy that's seen some things, and always been privy to be in certain circles
Mhm.
and have had dealings with people of different lineages and bloodlines. And I, I tell everybody, for me, it was only catharsis.
Okay.
That was it. It was just me telling my stories and say, hey, this is what I saw, this is what I dealt with, this is what I experienced. That was pretty much it. And then it kind of took on a life of its own, and other people kind of gravitated towards it. And I was like, okay, that's cool if other people can relate, or somebody glean something off of what I had to, off my experience. And that's pretty much it. Like I try to keep it as simple as possible. And yeah, I just want to add to people. That's pretty much it, or at least raise a discussion as to why people think the way they do. That's pretty much it. I'm
Wonderful.
not one to change. I'm not here to change anybody's religion or
Mhm.
perspective. I just
Right.
say, hey, okay, have you thought about it this way? Because
Mhm.
this is how some people could see it.
Right. Right.
That's pretty much it.
That's good. Well, that's good to have the perspective, and the fact that we can discuss things now easier. I think. I don't know how you feel about the whole debate thing that was going on. That kind of energy of debate. It seems that I'm sensing we're past the debating phase of this, whatever you call it? Do you call it a great awakening, or what do you refer to this time period that we're in right now?
Awakening's cool. I mean, it's just funny how when they grab the terms that grassroots comes up with, they throw it at you 24/7. It cheapens and devalues it. So then when you actually do awaken, it's like, well, it's not a big deal because they've been saying it for the last 6 months in the mainstream, you know. I've done the debate circuits. It was cool for its time being, but you know, it takes something out of you after a while. Then it's like, okay, so now what? Debates and then what? Because I'm pretty much solutions based person. But like I said, you know, for its time, we were all doing the rumbles and debates and stuff. It was needed.
Yeah.
Now it's time to, you know, put some of these things in action. That's how I'm looking at it.
That's great. That's how I feel. I was sensing that. I remember the debates, and like you said, I enjoy a good debate when it doesn't resort to the ad hominem attacks.
Yeah.
Like, I love people to attack a person's position and not them. So
Yeah.
unless you're like, I know I do it. I'm just saying in a debate setting, like when I'm talking about, like, say, a politician, I'm not so nice, right? But just with like a debate situation, it's great to hear people be able to defend a position and do it with like confidence and stand in, as they say, their truth, or to be open to listening to another person and considering, like, okay, I might think about that, because a lot of times it could be like a seed planted. You know, that's how it's been for me. Even I might not have been ready at the time to receive it, but it comes later. So I think, like you're saying, we're past the debating thing and lectures so much. Like, you know, the lecture circuit was really good too, but it does feel like it's a different time. Just, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I know you're going to help me. So I wanted to just thank everybody. Karen, I'm not able to do it right now. When I went into, I'm having a slow connect issue. When I tried to do it, it was just spinning. So I didn't want to hold up too much time, but I'm going to try to do it from StreamYard. But I think I have to do it. Yeah. But okay, this is what I want to do. I make these graphics, okay? So I have my little slideshows, and I wanted to ask you some things, like, you know, just to get your feel for some things, if you don't mind. Like, I'm just going to share my screen right now, and let's see. Yeah, everything's just a little, I say, sticky with my keys. I don't know what it is. It's the connection, possibly. We've had little weather come through. You said it's really hot where you are, huh?
Yeah.
You had a pretty hot day.
I'm from the Chicago area, so I'm used to 0 degrees, but after so many years, you just kind of get tired of it. So I'm a heat guy, so I'd rather take the heat than minus below, you know.
I agree. I like that too. It's easier, I think, to get comfortable with heat. Yes. So yes, spheres, like I said. And I could get a little nerdy, okay? SupaSly, Good Brother. I was just thinking about spheres, and just the fact that, you know, they call that thing the manosphere, the woman sphere, this sphere. I call this the Chatmosphere. And I was thinking, what is the deal with spheres? And it seems to come down to, they say the spheres were kind of a way to, it says in this old rendering, they were to prepare the progress, to look at the progress of the stars and stuff. So a way to capture time, it looks like. I didn't expect that either. I was like, time and days and hours, I guess, annual cycles. So, you know, I wonder about these spheres, the manosphere and the woman sphere. And I guess I want to start off with a good hot button topic. Why not, right? So what is your take on this gender? I don't want to always like feed into it's a war, it's some sort of divide, but it feels very contrived at the same time. Like somebody very sophisticated agency like might be behind it. I could be tinfoil hatting, but what is your take on this thing that's formed, and where is it right now, and what do you see, you know?
Oh my God. Okay, so you have to kind of know the backstory,
Okay.
and so as a self-professed former rank and file member, former of the manosphere, the Black manosphere. So in the beginning, the guys that started the Black manosphere were attached to the White manosphere, but then the White manosphere was like, we don't care about your Black issues per se. So everything pretty much always is always a splinter off. So they created, the space, and it was a space for men to kind of air out their grievances with just life, dating, economics, all the good stuff, right? So that first 4 or 5 years, it was productive. You had all, it was like the bat signal went out, and all these men say, hey, there's a space for us. We can, talk shop amongst men. Don't have to worry about the women. You know what I'm saying? And for those that were around long enough, they know about the rumbles. So basically, it was just a bunch of men debating and waxing philosophical about any and everything pertaining to Black men.
Okay.
Then kind of things went left when the money came in. Once the super chat came in,
Uh-huh.
it's like the money comes in, man, and people. And then, as you grow and get older, like I said, you're talking about 4 or 5 years on being on the internet. It's like, okay, I'm older now. I can't always be mad and angry or whatever. And then it turned into like its own self contained cottage industry of trauma, right? So then like the women were like, oh, what are they doing over there? Because we know what men do. Women were like, oh, what are you guys? So the guys were like, yeah, come see what we're doing. And whether you believe it or not, whether you're for or against that kind of thing, it's just a multitude of things that kind of took it to where it's in its direction. I had to back away because I'm like, this is not my real life,
Right.
So I can't relate anymore to these guys. I don't know the direction. My life does not, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's a lengthy, convoluted history.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to bore anybody with all but the
I knew
details are
you had.
important, but
Yeah.
it's the space where it's at now. I
Hmm.
I don't think it's a good place, but
Hmm.
people have their own biases and whatever and whatnot. So yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. What year would you say it do you kind of remember how long ago it might have really formed?
Okay, so what is this? 2022? Let's say you had different iterations. Yeah, 1.0, 2.0. I'm 2.0.
Okay.
1.0 is guys like the old heads,
Mhm.
Sergeant Willie Pete,
Oh,
um,
okay.
Thugtician, the old guys that
Uh-huh.
were the first progenitors of, okay, hey, men, these women, y'all be careful, and men, we got to do better for ourselves.
Mhm.
2.0 came in a little bit of glitz, a little glamour, we're a little younger, a little bit more vigor. We're not as beaten up and broken down to a certain extent.
Mhm.
And it's like the 90s hip hop when the money came in, like
Yeah.
flashy era. And now
Mhm.
you have 3.0, 4.0, and now you have all these new guys and a lot of angry, upset guys. A lot of guys still stuck in that years of the woman hurt them. I don't have the answers for you. I mean, per se, but
Right. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. If I had young sons, I'd be like, stay the fuck away from those guys. Like that's
Well, that's good advice right there. I mean, you at least watch the, progression of it, and that is it's history in a sense, because these things are something that if you hadn't been there, it's hard to understand where it started. But I just wanted to, I appreciate you giving me that background on it. Now I'm gonna switch gears because I'm going back over some things, and I was like, I would love to ask Sly about this kind of stuff, like, because you break down the industry. Of course, the industry. This movie is such an iconic thing. I don't really understand the pull that it has, but I broke it down for myself because I wasn't overly like, I don't know what to say. Like, I didn't watch it many times and things like. I enjoyed it when I did watch it. I haven't seen the newer version of it, but I wanted to ask you about this movie on a deep level of when I looked into it and I see Eddie Murphy and this sort of like this kingdom, utopian kingdom kind of thing from Africa. And I wanted to find out, what is your take on this movie in terms of programming?
Okay, so this movie came out in what, 80, 87, 88? We were still teens. So we weren't wrapped up in the Africa versus African American. There was no debate at the time because you still had the conscious rap. You still had the African medallions. We were still like, okay, yeah, we may not be Africans per se, but we have a lineage. So that was the sentiment, that we all had an attachment somewhere back to Africa. And people forget, not only coming to America, but you had movies, you had Boomerang. You had black people in positions of power and wealth telling white folk what to do. And this was probably the closest thing you would get to a Mansa Musa biography, was coming to America, right? Because he came to New York, and everybody, they did that. They couldn't fathom, somebody having this type of money and influence, and it was attractive. I mean, Eddie was the biggest movie star at the time, and you throw in a character with opulence and wealth, and they don't bow down to anybody. And what, he telling white folk what to do? What is this? Oh, okay. I mean, how could it not resonate to you? And as a young teen seeing this, I guess it kind of made things a little bit more reachable. Like, okay, I guess you could,
All right. I was wondering, like, what is your take on the narrative of, what do you consider, like, do you use the term black, or do you use African American, or what is the term that even Tariq came up with, like foundational American? What term do you think is most correct about, I guess, not immigrants, but people that kind of were here and the whole coming to America thing? I'm just wondering about that. Like, what terms do you think are more correct in terms of the people?
For me, it's not so much what's correct. It's who I'm talking to at the time.
Okay.
So if I'm dealing with the Moors, I address everybody as a Moor. If I'm dealing with people that claim to be Aboriginal or Indigenous, I address them as such. Okay. If I'm talking to black folk that consider themselves black, I'll address them as such. So to me, it depends on who I'm addressing, which audience I'm addressing, and what makes them feel comfortable, and then proper context. Because you go to the mosque and be like, yo, all the black people and Moors, be like, nah, brother, we Moors. I'm like, okay, so you things like that. So I never agree with African American. I mean, my dad made me read the books, and it broke down the theories of Jesse Jackson, how he stole the money, and the Rainbow Coalition. So I from a young age, I was already indoctrinated into always asking questions, and everything isn't what it appears to be. African American is kind of a misnomer. That term never sat well with me ever. So I would just use black just for proper context. But then you get them people that be like, hey man, the Black's Law Dictionary, man, that's not our, it means death, man. And I just be like, I get it. So I kind of have to preface I need to read the room, see who I'm talking to, and apply the proper terms and make them feel comfortable.
Okay, nice. All right, thank you. Yeah, because that was the thing. I was like starting to wonder in terms of this movie. Now, I wanted to show you this because this stuck out to me right here, and I want to get your take on it. I told you I was listening to this idea about who was here. Like, is the narrative correct? Because now that everything is on the table in terms of this awakening that we're learning, a lot of us are learning that we've been lied to about more than we thought. So when I look at this movie, I don't know, I might be reading too much into it, but I talked about this a little while ago. I was looking at this movie poster here, and it has, on the side, top corner to the right, it has sort of one of those griffins, and it says a sequel is in the air. And I know that it's based on him being an heir to this wealth, but I was wondering, am I being too tinfoil hattish to ask, why are they constantly convincing us that we came, or like that we came here the way we did, like this slave narrative that's always like, swirling around, because it just, I'm questioning everything. What would you say in terms of this thing where some people feel like the whole slave narrative was contrived, and they had slaves, but it wasn't like we were told, and it wasn't as many people enslaved, and a whole lot of it dealt with other things. What is your take on this? Am I reading too much into it?
No, wow. Okay, so you never seen a sequel?
I haven't, not yet.
It's bad. It's bad. It was like 25 years too late.
Oh.
And because it came out so late, now you have all these agendas in it. So he had a out of wedlock, he had a bastard son, a one night stand with some American chick. It's a mess. And then he had these daughters that was supposed to be next in line, and it's a convoluted mess of a movie. But going off of what I'm looking at on the screen, so it's funny that now, because now pretty much most people identify as pretty much non-African. They're like, I'm indigenous, I'm Aboriginal. But, you know what I'm saying? Your grandparents never told you were no African tribe. What tribe did you come from? You always either told you were Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, whatever the case may be, right? And then in the picture itself, I see the boat show, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, that's so obvious. And then
I saw that too.
And then I'm looking at Eddie and Arsenio, and I'm like, okay, they're playing Africans, but then I see the soul glow, and that's American. That's the Jerry Curl, such an American '80s thing.
Exactly.
I like that people are coming to their own conclusions about their family history. You should not have to have someone else tell you where you think you came from. To control the people's narrative about where they came from, it's profitable for one, and for two, it keeps them off your ass when it's like, no, this is not how it went. And of course, we do the numbers with the slave trade. We had more people leave from here to go over there, and then of course the islands and South America and all that good stuff. It's we're the only people on this planet for the most part whose history has been pretty much kept from them, swept under the rug. I mean, if you read books like The Forgotten Cause of the Civil War, they tell you that they were just, after the Christian codes, they were just marking everybody one denomination, one, what I'm saying? Just because. So I'm happy that people are starting to, our people starting to separate themselves and kind of wake up from wait. This is not my grandparents, my great grandparents, all here, whether you own slaves or not, here for the most part. So and I'd say take a look at who gives you pushback. That's the most thing. So when you tell somebody, hey, my grandparents, great grandparents, we've been here since 1770, watch who gives you pushback and says, well, how do you know? What the fuck you mean? How do I know? Because I got the paperwork that says. How you gonna tell me where I'm from? So that is very telling to me. I see more pushback from others that. Not even so much others, but those that have a vested interest, and you keep claiming that. And there's nothing wrong with Africa, man. But that's not. I've never believed out of Africa theory.
Okay. All right. It's funny that now I feel played in a sense. The one thing about my, the whole African relationship or experience is that we're told this and, grew up with the Alex Haley roots. And then you find out that this man wasn't what we thought, and the story and everything. But I always wanted the African friends that I worked with, because I'm a nurse. So I worked with a lot of Nigerians and things like that. And I would ask them, do you think I might come from your a tribe over there, and they would laugh at me. So they would be like, no, you're not like of us. We can tell our people. And I felt a little rejected, because it's like, wow, you're not going to claim me. And then, because you hear these stories, we're all from West Africa and all this stuff. So the only group of Africans that ever claimed me were the Ethiopians. And, and I went over there and they welcomed me home and the whole thing. And so they told me they know that I am of them. They're like, we could see our people. We could tell who are our people. We can look at the eyes and we know you are. And I was like, okay, you got me. Okay. And I don't know, because my dad's side, they look like straight from Ethiopia, and it's one of those things that you just start wondering. But at the same time, when you're challenged with this, like what you said, we're all starting to ask these questions. And my grandparents don't have these stories of being enslaved. I haven't traced anything back to slavery yet.
And I would tell people, do your own private research into your DNA history. If you're talking DNA 1, 2, and 3 and Ancestry, like they're into data. They're into owning private data. So when you go and sign up for these companies and submit the swab, whatever, they own a piece of your DNA. So it's all like it's Henrietta Lacks all over again. So I would say do your own private research. And if you have ties to West Africa, that's awesome. But the overwhelming majority of Black Americans here don't have ties. Not like to what they say. No, it's just because if you do the old census of 1850 and 1830. They were already had millions of Black folk here. There's not enough slave populations to populate to generate those type of numbers in 100 years, 150 years. It's just, it makes no sense. Don't get me wrong. There was breed farms and all that stuff, but the amount of procreation it would take to justify the numbers, it's no.
No. Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm feeling, and it's good to know, because, like you said, it's just good to finally wake up from whatever this is that's been perpetrated in whatever terms, But this scene right here, now I'm glad, like, first of all, I'm so glad you saw that boat thing, because I was like, whoa, the boat show, and then the soul glow, and then the griffin. I was like, and then it said air. I was like, I'm decoding so much here. But okay, this right here, this one, right?
Yes.
Trading places.
Trading places, yeah.
Now I'm looking at this, okay, brother, and I'm just, what do you think of trading places?
So now remember, it wasn't even based on race. It was just like, could this Black person, if given the opportunity, could he succeed?
Did you freeze?
I think I didn't freeze. Did you freeze? Uh-oh. Did I freeze?
Yeah, I froze them. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I hear you now.
Okay, cool. No, if you go back and remember the wager they made. Uh-oh.
Okay.
We're good? Uh-oh. They're messing with the stream. So hopefully I'm not frozen too bad. Oh. I'm sure she'll be back, guys. Oh, so Jen froze up? Because I can see and hear myself.
Okay, are we back now?
I think so.
Okay, that happens whenever you already know that. As soon as a certain topic comes up, I don't know what it is.
Of course,
making me
every time.
Think that I feel a little bit paranoid. But okay, so can you repeat, since I don't know when it froze, about your take on trading places?
Yeah. Remember when Mortimer and his brother made the bet? The initial bet was, could a Black man succeed if given the opportunity? right? Because when you first watch it when I was a little kid, I was like, "Oh, this is a racist movie," blah 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 blah. And I'm like, now that I think about it, it was more. I see it more as a classist movie,
Right.
and they gave Eddie's character access to their class and everything that comes with it, and basically, could he succeed if given the opportunity? Given all the positions that he could be afforded, and what would happen to the other guy, Dan Aykroyd's character, if everything was removed from him?
Hmm.
And it was just like a mirror image. Dan Aykroyd resorted to being a criminal and scheming and scamming, and then Eddie, became affluent, and so it was to me. I see it now as a class reversal, not so much racism per se, because
Okay.
anybody given the opportunity to thrive will
Hmm.
thrive for the most part, regardless of race.
Right.
You know,
Right. Okay.
yeah,
All right. All right. Just wanted to kind of see what you were thinking about that. Now, okay, going to this subject. We're just doing subjects here. Now, I know this is really crazy. I just probably have too much time on my hands, but no, I wanted to get your take because everybody, okay, the good brother here, and I want to thank anybody who has joined. And also, I saw some super chats. I want to thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. And she has a question, maybe. If you are white and live in Africa, then move to the USA. African American, right? Yeah, exactly. Hello, personally, I check off the box that says other. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say they do that, Debbie, other. Yeah. And thank you so much. That's a good point. And I make that point too because technically Elon Musk is African
yeah,
American according to the standards of African American designation, technically. So, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. So the good brother here, he had a live stream after this happened, and I really appreciated what you were saying because, okay, everybody, I know that a lot of celebration happened because of these stones coming down because they were menacing to who what they say the conspiracy truther community. They make it seem in the narrative like nobody else cared about this monument other than just really fringe people. And now that it's down, one of the things that you said that I appreciated is that you were saying, okay, if you read the actual, what were they called, the commandments or whatever on the stones,
mhm,
the only one that gave us sort of that knee-jerk reaction was the amount of people they wanted to or keep the population at. But when you read that, okay, and you challenged us, I was like, okay, now listening to it, now that he's saying that, I'm like, okay, it doesn't sound so bad. Some of it's creepy when it talked about, sort of the hygiene of reproduction and stuff
yeah.
like that. That's a little odd. But I want to ask you, because I also like when you kind of push back on us and you're like, this is lodge business. Okay, I love that. Okay, is this lodge business, brother? What is going on? Like, what do you think? Is none of our business, or what's your take on it now that we've had a few days to kind of think it through?
If it's one thing I've learned that even though you get the even though I may have base knowledge and base access, there's always more to, like I'll know something and then 6 months later I'll find out like, oh, it was more deeper than that. Yeah, that'll learn me, So it's like, okay, when people think they crack the code, it's like it's just surface level, man. And that, trust me, whatever they got going on is far more deeper, more sinister than for most people can imagine. But going back to the Guidestones, yeah, all anyone could tell you was under humanity under 500 million, and I'm like, wait a minute, do you know what? Do you realize what it would take? You would basically have to kill the planet to move to drop the population from 7.2 billion to 500 million. That you would have to basically kill the planet to do so. And then once you read the rest of the mantras, it's like, okay, wow, yeah, who is this really for? I don't see this as a huge win. How? Right? And this is where I get upset with the spiritual people because it's like, oh, the ancestors are working. Really? So they're focused on some stones in Georgia? This Now listen, I'm a spiritual person just like anybody else, I believe in the creator and the universe, whatever. But I'm like, some things is like, come on, y'all. Like, really think the universe is really worried about knocking down some stones? Like, in the grand scheme of things, that's important. Whatever floats your boat. I'm not here to change anybody's religion, but goddamn, like, you got to readjust our focus at some point. But that's just my take on it.
Right. And I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate the challenge. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just welcome that now. You helped me just kind of balance a little bit more. And that's why I said I like to listen through your filter with this stuff. Now, does this give off to you sort of like that September 2001 incident that some claim was a controlled demolition? Does this seem like it, just controlled demolition, none of our business, lodge business kind of stuff?
No, yeah, that September 1st thing, that affected everybody. Like, that was such a mass ritual. I mean, I remember the pictures you saw, faces of whatever in the smoke. I mean, that affected everybody. That's what I mean by stuff like that. It affected everybody across the board. I can still remember going to the airport without having to take off your shoes, without having to take off your belt. Okay, for those that us old heads, we can remember those days, how it was traveling before that event. And this is not going to change. This is not life changing, earth shattering. There's no Patriot Act going to be signed because of the stones. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
that was, I mean, how many untold people perished because of that? Just it. You remember where you were when that happened.
True. Oh yeah.
And you knew somebody that knew somebody that either died, worked there, lived close by there in some capacity. This Guidestone thing is just cannon fodder to me. It's good TV for a hot minute.
Okay.
But like I said, those stones were not carved and set up for the average person, the average American, or just the average person, period. It just, I've been around, I read so many books and stuff like that I kind of know who they're talking to. And it's just like, nah, that's not for y'all. Like, I just like to be, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Okay. So moving on to, I want to get a little bit more controversial now. You brought up the Moors, and I have heard about this right here. I was listening to another content creator who mentioned the Catholic Church, which a lot of people are critical of. I know I've lost a lot of Catholic friends just with my criticism of the church. I mean, I was christened as a baby, as a Catholic and stuff, but this content creator mentioned that in the Bible, when it says, the church would be created on that rock, like Peter, meaning like, Peter, on this rock, I will create my church. So that being the inception of the Catholic Church. I wanted to get your take on this here. Now, the Moors, I don't know a lot about them. I've listened to some of the content creators that are of the Moors. And this Black Peter thing, I heard about this ritual or type of thing that they do over in the Netherlands. This is a Dutch type of tradition. I'm wondering about this Black Peter issue. And now I'm going down different rabbit holes. And I'll show you why. Like, when you see the old picture, this is from a children's book, they said, like a Dutch children's book, the one on the right. And so you see Black Peter, and then you see the man is named Sinterklaas. So this is something that I have some cousins that are half Dutch, half Black, and when they go to see their family over in that area in the Netherlands, they were kind of embarrassed about this right here. They didn't kind of want me to know that this happens. I was like, why are they ashamed that this is something that happens over there? They felt torn, I guess, because they knew something was weird about it, but they were younger and they felt ashamed, is what I mean, if you can see where I'm coming from. So this goes on, and then I looked at the fact that this mitered hat thing, with the center cross, and then it looks like the Pope's hat. So I wanted to ask you, what do you see a connection with the Moors and the Jesuits, the Catholic Church? What am I too crazy with this?
No, no,
Or
no. You're
okay.
on the right path. Wow, that's so much to unpack there. I'll give you the base gist of it.
Mhm.
So, the Council of Nicaea, AD, I think 525. Please don't forgive me. I forget the dates, but the Council of Nicaea,
Mhm.
basically, you had Saint Augustine and more basically speak on the behalf of the captured, what do you want to call them, alpinoids, whatever you want to call them, right?
Mhm.
They were rounded up and they wanted to execute all of them. And St. Augustine was like, no, or St. Maurice, I think his name is St. Maurice, forgive me. And he was like, no, we can save them, we can civilize them, let's just give them a religion, let's give them this thing called Christianity, and we'll control them that way, give them a God to look up to, whatever the case may be. And then
Mhm.
we're like, okay, cool, fine. Somehow they managed to flip it back on us. And even in the Netherlands, they sell the candies with the black hands cut off.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
delicacy. The black candy, yeah, the black chocolate candy with the black hands. Yeah,
Oh,
those
wow.
that's yeah. It gets way deep over there. Yeah.
Oh my, no wonder my cousins were like so ashamed. They're like, I don't want to
Yeah.
tell you about this stuff. I was like, oh my goodness. But now with the advent of like how the information is, you could totally like see that these are practices that have been going on, and they're
Well,
really
yeah, when they do the parades and everybody's in blackface, I mean, the internet now it's unrivaled. Like you can find out whatever you want about anybody's culture in the speed of light, and yeah, it's the candies are a real big deal, you know.
oh my. Yeah, okay. Wow. Now in terms of this like when you even hear of a black pope, I know a lot of the conspiracy people, truther, they talk about this black pope thing, and I'm wondering why is that term used, do you think? Like, why is black used? Like, they have the black pope, and then they have the black madonna over in Poland, and I think in some parts of Russia. Am I right? They have
Yeah,
them.
everybody always refers to the picture of the Pope kissing the Black Madonna's feet.
Okay.
They worship the black woman. That's no secret. The Black Pope, the last one that I remember was I forget his name, but he chooses the Pope. Like he's the guy that says, okay, you're the one. Um, Take from that what you will. I mean, like I said, the guy that you see out in front is it's never the guy. It's always the guy in the back. Um,
Hmm.
Find out who the newest black pope is. There's your
Hmm.
guy. It's really
Oh,
just that simple. Yeah, yeah,
okay. All right. Thank you.
yeah,
Because I was like, what is going on? They keep using this. So you did bring up the the blackface. I know that's coming up. Oh, this is what I wanted. I wanted to just ask you about this right here too. I did a live stream a few months ago with another sister that she's amazing with decoding things. Her name is Girl Code, and we did this thing about Spain and the whole connection with Spain. And I want to look into it more. If you have any good, books you could recommend, please do, because I want to. It seems I keep coming back to Spain, and it's not so much Rome. It seems like Spain is the thing. So I came across this picture where they have as they say, the Svate Piet, or the Black Peter, and the Center Claus or Santa Claus. And it said that they are arriving by steamboat from Spain. So they have this ritual where they sail into the Netherlands around that time of year, and they have all these Black Peters and Santa Clauses on this boat from Spain. And I was like, what is going on here?
yeah. That was one of the exit routes Spain. Spain was like one of the last strongholds before the empire fell, right? And then those that stayed had to take the oath to say, okay, look, we will let you stay, but you got to switch religions, whatever. Basically, the best way I could describe it is Order 66 from Star Wars. So those who stayed took the oath to kind of go against the brethren. And those who left different trade routes. That's why a lot of them ended up in the Dutch and Netherlands area, and then those that survived, further even into America. I think people like tend to forget old history, like the Lamborghini, the bull. When they do the bullfighting,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a whole thing about the Moors.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. That's old school stuff. That's why the bull is so prominent in Spain. It's
Oh,
about the Moors. So yeah, it's them, with the sticking to the neck, and yeah,
oh
it's
boy.
a deep seated history when it comes to melanated people over there in
Mhm.
Europe. It's like a
Yeah.
love hate thing,
Uh-huh.
and if you watch enough soccer matches, you can tell like it's the tension. My brother goes over there a lot, and he's like, man, the tension over there is so thick. Like people don't understand. Like it's a different type of schism over here when it comes to race relations. It's
Right.
way deeper over there. Yeah,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Interesting. Wow. So I just thought, like, it's that whole thing of even the maritime thing when you think about the people that talk about correcting your status. And I was like, boats and the whole issue of like how they're doing this thing. I'm wondering, like, it just seems like mockery, but this is clearly right here a mockery. And I can't find anybody who could probably say this is like redeemable behavior, but I don't know if anybody knows this in the Chatmosphere, but this is what I was referring to when I have cousins that are, like I said, part Dutch and Black, and so this is what happens during the, I guess, their Christmas holiday season. So you could see Santa Claus and Black Peter, and this is Black Peter the Moor. So they get in the blackface and do this parade. So it is interesting because now, brother, this is what I didn't realize was happening. Oh, before I do that, I wanted to just say that Josephine Baker, you can see her with Santa Claus and Black Peter when she was visiting. And, I just came across some pictures. Now, this is what I want to talk about because I'm laughing at a lot of this stuff. I told people I don't get triggered like I used to about race stuff. I'm over it. It just doesn't trigger me. But it's fascinating because I'm not scared to talk about race. And the reason I'm not is that I want to understand it, get to the bottom of it, find out who are the people that are doing the stuff, like you said, behind the scenes, and how can we get from, get to the other side of it, in other words. So I notice here that they're going through their social justice type of protests and things like that. So they went through a period of feeling ashamed of this practice, which is not surprising, but they are out in the streets protesting it. Black Peter, I guess, and this one says "Free Peter." I'm like, where is Peter? I don't know why he needs to be free, but you can see just the ridiculous absurdity of like how the right here, the Black Lives Matter spilled over into this Black Peter thing.
Mhm.
So what do you think about that? I just like find, I don't know. I just giggle at this kind of stuff because I'm like, okay, so they did Black Lives Matter for a practice that goes, like you said, so deep. What do you think about this?
You know what? To me, this is all no diss to those people, but that's just so low level at this point. Like this is how bottom feeders act, and this is exactly how they look at them. Like look at it doesn't take much. Look at them, and it doesn't take much to distract them, keep them. I never understood how poor people, black or white, never understood like, hey, we're both poor. Okay, I don't care what we're both poor. We have a common enemy. Them up the top of the hill. Now let's go do what we got to do, and then if it's an issue between us later on, then we deal with that. But right now we have a common enemy. It's them, and lower level people are just so easily distracted, and they keep you distracted. They keep you inundated with bills. You got inflation up the ass, so now everyone's worried about gas prices and food about to go up. Are we going to go into a recession? So they've done a masterful job of keeping the people splinter divided, and keeping them off the attention off of them where it should be, and between amongst the lower ranks or the poor people person. You know what I'm saying? It's you gotta tip your head off. They're just so devious with it. Like every 6 months, it's something else to be worried about. And the U.S. is not alone in that. You see what's going on in Sri Lanka. The president fled. They stormed his house and swimming in his pool. Like, this is what y'all did all this for. You swim in his pool. Okay.
I love it. I know, and I have something. I have an image about that because okay. I go to this image now. It's the reason for this stuff. Okay, now this image right here. I know I'm being silly, everybody. I have to be silly. I don't check on the Chatmosphere in a bit. So okay, with this stuff with the first son and this issue of the crack is whack. So I just did this sort of trap house graphic here because what bothers me, in a sense, the hypocrisy in terms of this is a big deal, with this crack amount, the amount of crack that the first son had, and just the fact that he's so sloppy with how he shares his personal life. I know he wasn't sharing, got hacked, but he's not careful about these devices. But in terms of his father's crime bill introduction and how many Black lives were completely destroyed by the fact that he was saying that one crack rock would get you 5 years. And he was just so cruel with the way he delivered. He was like, and the judge won't be able to help you. You won't get parole. And it's like did they count every rock that was found on a person? They got 5 years per rock?
Until so they'll count it and then they'll weigh it. Oh. So the weight of the crack will get you. But what's funny? The Washington Post just made an article about crack in moderation is not a bad thing. You see how they don't miss a thing. They don't.
They don't. And they gave that, it was his Biden administration. They said it was the first son's idea to give out the crack little packets, the little kit to people.
Yeah.
It's like they're mocking people in a way that, like, I grew up in Philly, and the crack epidemic, I watched it destroy, like, where I went to school, Temple University, that neighborhood. I was literally climbing over crack vials just to get to class, that part of North Philadelphia at that time. And, just to hear the sentencing for the people that had this crack and the way that it infiltrated the cities. Do you agree with, the way that crack was flooded into, like, the cities? Do you ascribe to what, like, Freeway, Ricky Ross, and
I read the Gary Webb book, the CIA, and then you had Ollie North, the Ryan Contra affair. It's a crazy saga. Yeah. But then it's like I think it didn't have the impact they thought it would have, right?
Right.
Sure, right. It decimated and destroyed families. I think that probably set us back more than civil rights had, because I had seen a lot of families that had money, had wealth, get squandered it because of crack. I think crack has done more damage, to Black folk, because we were doing good. And if for those that remember growing up in the 80s before it hit, under Reagan, even though tricklenomics, I didn't care for tricklenomics, or Reaganomics, the trickle down theory, whatever. Black folk were living pretty good. Like, we're on the up and up, and then this shit comes in, and the laws behind it, clearly it was race based. But I don't think, once again, it had the effect that they were looking for per se. It worked, but not the way they thought it would work.
I agree.
Because how many functioning crackheads do we know?
That's
IQ levels. Yeah.
Right.
They take a hit and they can fix, create, craft, master. Do you understand?
I'm telling you, I had a crackhead fix my air conditioner in my car, and I swear to you, bro, I think he put a jet type of system. The car, like my brother was in the car, and my brother's one of these people, like we call him a polar bear because he has to sleep with windows open in the winter, and he was freezing in my car. That's how cold this man made it. But like you said, the crackheads are still around. They didn't die out.
Exactly.
And some of them are they're thriving, physically, they're thriving. And it's like, so it didn't kill them in that sense. It killed the family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did. It killed the community because you're right. I remember the pre-crack and people were doing well. Now, what was interesting, I'm glad you brought up Ronald Reagan, because in this video of the first son, he's wearing a Ronald Reagan logo on a jacket. And I'm like, there's so many things to unpack with that, because now I'm seeing with what you're saying, it's almost like it's different levels of decoding, because he didn't just wear that jacket with that. It's a huge patch that said Ronald Reagan. I'm like, okay, what's really being communicated here?
So now I'm asking a question, like, this is so brazen. And the whole laptop thing from 2 years ago, I'm like, what are the odds that you get your hands on this? Now I'm like, okay, y'all, are you playing with this right? Can anybody really be that brazen?
I wonder. It's baffling to me. Now, I want to switch over to the lady in the corner pocket there, because now I have fallen out with a lot of friends. Okay, I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I've talked about it a lot. These people are sick of hearing about it. All my Black Boulet family and friends, Sly, they don't like me anymore. I don't stick to the scripts. I'm
You're the black sheep.
Yeah, I'm the literal black sheep here. So, okay, one of my Black Boulet friends, okay, he's a pilot, big time pilot, and he slipped. I don't know if he slipped and told me this, but they got really angry at me back in 2020 because I wasn't following the scripts. I wasn't posting enough about what they found important, right? And I had to tell them, I think you guys forgot, I didn't pledge anything. I'm not part of your organizations, I'm of you, but I'm not of you. And one of them slipped and told me, he was like, you need to support her because, like, well, they went to Howard with her. A lot of them, they, pledged with her and stuff. I have friends, they know her, whatever, line sisters. But they wanted me to support her just based on the fact that she went to an HBCU. I went to Spelman. So how dare me not support her, Black woman? And I was like, well, show me the Black woman, because I had just seen her doing a cooking demonstration with that actress. She was from The Office, the Indian lady.
Oh, I know you're talking. Mindy Kaling?
Mindy
Kaling. Yeah,
Mindy,
okay.
Yeah. So she was cooking Indian food with Mindy, and they were talking like they were sisters, like they were culturally talking about things that had nothing to do with Blacks, okay? But she was more so about her Indian heritage, which I think I have no problem with that, but he slipped and told me, he said, Jennifer, you need to support her, because it was almost like wink, wink. We don't care about Jojo Magoo. We want, we're not concerned about him. This is just a means to an end. We want her in there so she could slide into the presidency. So I was like on the phone, like, are you kidding? You literally told me that you don't care. I guess I'm naive, okay, bro. I mean, this is a guy who's like upstanding, churchy and all this stuff. And for him to tell me that was the game plan is to get her in that way through the back door. What do you think about that? Do you think she's going to eventually become the president?
Well, technically she was. When I mean, if we're going to be honest, I mean, technically, yes, she was for 48 hours, 72 hours, however long he was in the hospital getting his whatever the case may be. But as far as like a sitting active president, I don't. I would have said yes a year ago, maybe a year or 2 years ago. I was like, yeah, they're gonna put her in eventually. She's gonna be the first. Now I'm like, nah, I don't think so. Just
You
I
know?
don't think so.
Okay.
If they're gonna put a woman in there, I believe it would be a white, holy white woman. I don't think it would be like the Obama phenotype. I don't think so now. Now, because I'm looking at how the climate is changing, the people are, rather upset. And with who knows, but I'm leaning towards them putting a holy white woman in the office. I just don't see the Obama. They gave us Obama already.
Yeah, it's been done already, right? It's almost like these movies, they keep doing another version. It's like the Obama thing, they got it, they squeezed that fruit, it's no more juice left. But in terms of this, this woman, I was surprised at how people could excuse how many people she affected in terms of prison, stuff. What is your take on that? Like how she did that stuff out in California? What was your opinion of her back then?
Well, see, us Californians know, Black Californians know, especially up north, up in Sac and San Jose, the Bay Area. They know what her legacy was about. There's no question about that. It's just the rest of America either caught on too late or they don't care because that was California. That doesn't affect the rest of us. Right. I mean, you see how many sisters have just gravitated towards this woman, especially all of the Divine Nines have all fully backed her, still backing her, and then everyone else is going to fall into place because that's what they do. You're better than me. I don't even entertain conversations about this. You're better than me. Because I'd like, you know what, you got it. So.
Well, you know what? I don't entertain them now because the way that the vitriol came at me, I mean, I had an aunt that attacked me. She's, AKA, and she was like, just, went full on me because I wasn't supporting her. But she doesn't come up in conversation so much. Well, I don't talk to a lot of those people, but I recently saw a friend of mine from Philly that was at some sort of tea with her, so I know that they're, like you said, they will support her. She could kill a puppy or two out in the street and they'll just blame Trump or Putin, maybe. I don't know. But what do you think is going to happen in terms of this guy right now with this son and just the fact, I mean, I see the White House as the trap house now. And I don't know, like, how much long, like, do you think he's going to finish this first term or what?
I think he gets a second term.
Really? Oh my God, you do? You see him getting a second? Like, well, really?
And the only reason I say that now because I'm looking at, okay, so we got 2 years left, and who are they propping up now? DeSantis out of Florida, like, honestly, like, you would need a Trump level type of candidate to start bubbling right now. So 2 years from now, he can be like, he's a guy. There is none.
Right.
Not from the opposing side. I don't see that Trump-esque guy that's going to be like, and you already know they would never let a guy like that back in to begin with. So, regardless of whoever they pick on their side, everybody's going to be, on the program, in the know. So, you cannot have, like I said, Trump, he did too much too soon. And had he not just opened the floodgates the way he did, he'd have got a second term easily. But he was just, he went off the rails. He went off the rails.
Oh, too much cowbell, huh?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like, I was like, damn, dude, like, moderation. You got to dial that shit back a bit, bro. You doing too much. Like, but yeah, I think Biden holds out. He gets a second term.
Oh my God!
Find me that guy on the other side that,
Fascinating. Well, it's going to be really interesting because how they navigate through these, these scandals. It's unreal. Now, I want to shift over to Cardi B. I know it seems crazy, everybody, but okay, Cardi B. and JoJo Magoo. That, you know, they it seems like a commentary of the times we're in. Like, you know, people might think it's the apocalypse and things like the end times. You know, things are so absurd at this point. When she did that interview with him, you know how they were propping her up and she had her little suit on and she was talking like Cardi B, and you know, doing this interview was just so cringy. But I'm looking at these two as they are famous and whatever, iconic in a sense. It seems that the fifth wall has really fallen off of celebrities and politicians in that sense, because I know that currently, like, Cardi B is having a hard time with fame. Like, she stays in, you might know about, she's having like a war right now with bloggers, and she stays in comment sections. If anybody doesn't know this, I don't expect you all to keep up with Cardi B and stuff like that. But this is a woman who wanted fame. Now she has it, like, in a big way. But if anybody says anything about her on these blogs, she will be in the chats fighting with people. And she said that the social media environment is really affecting her mental health. So I think about this as it's a commentary on, I thought about the two of them. This guy's mental health is definitely gone. And then he has this family that is beyond ghetto. So, you know, what is your take on this whole aspect of fame and how it seems that, like I said, the fifth wall is coming down? It seems, you know, the veil, and the emperor has no clothes, and we can see it now.
You know what? It to me, it's like the Jordan LeBron debate, because Jordan, there was no social media for Jordan like there was for LeBron. Could you imagine social media in 1940s Hollywood? You know, all the, I mean, the old heads, John Wayne, Cary Grant, you know what I'm saying? Like, would they crack under the pressure? I personally don't think they would, but I think this generation here they've gotten soft, you know, and you know, we know the rules of social media. Just stay out the chat. Don't read the chat. Don't feed the trolls. And what do? They go up in there, they get jumped. And you know, social media has become the great equalizer between fan and a star. Like, it's almost leveled the playing field now to a certain extent. Like, you've almost raised the fans to the level of the star, because now they come and frequent our environments. We don't necessarily go looking for them per se. Now they're like, what are they saying about me over there? Let me go see what they're talking about. You know, so that was your first mistake. You know, that wall, the wall there's cracks in it.
Yeah.
You know, holes in it. And Cardi B, you know, the fame thing. A lot of people ask for fame and don't really understand what that entails. And yeah, she has flashes of cracking under the pressure. Listen, if she's around another 5 years, I'd be shocked, like legit shocked. You know.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah. And I see, like you said, I'm glad that I didn't grow up in the environment of social media, because it is a lot if you are concerned with your image, which, you know, people that chase fame, they are image driven. But yeah, that's a tough one. She has to, I don't know. Fame isn't just, I don't think fame is for anybody, actually. I don't think anybody does well with it. But switching to, as you brought up, Sri Lanka, or I don't know, we're going to have to call it the Sri or something, because, bro, this was giving me like Puffy Hampton's party right here, okay? The way they took over this palace. What do you think, like, in terms of how governments are beginning to collapse? We saw it in Myanmar, or as they called it, Burma at one time. What was that, like last year or the year before? Burma fell. Now, in terms of Sri Lanka, I heard somebody describe Sri Lanka as the Cuba to India.
You're right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it's that island destination. But, you know, the person who lived in India who was talking about this on their channel, they said that Sri Lanka was just so corrupt. It was just beyond belief. So, in terms of governments collapsing, do you think that we're just changing guard for, the same boss, but, controlled opposition? Or do you think these are genuine people, power to the people?
You To answer that, I would ask you, find me a prime example of when the people actually held their government literally at gunpoint and said, change all this. And the guy they brought in to replace the old guy actually did better. You'd be hard pressed to find me a real example of that. And like I said, with Sri Lanka, I was cool until I saw them in the pool. I'm like, oh, y'all taking photo ops for the pool? Y'all ain't serious about this yet. You're not.
Okay, that's a good point. See, that's why I like filtering things through him, because I don't know if you all were celebrating this, and you might be. I'm not trying to take the celebration away from you. I don't want to rain on your parade with, if you're celebrating Roe v. Wade and you're celebrating the Georgia Guidestones and you're celebrating Sri Lanka. I don't want to be the one that says, whatever, celebrate. But I am reserving, because everything's been so shocking to me in terms of how much I've been lied to, that I'm looking at things with a side eye, and like you said, I didn't think about it from that standpoint. I was thinking that, oh, they're really showing the man. But it was funny at the same time, because I saw people, they were in, the president's bed doing like TikToks or whatever. And
so you're destitute. You're not even poor. You're destitute, and you storm the castle to take selfies.
Now that you put it that way, yeah. And you see this truck here where it says, "Give our stolen money back." I mean, this is good for emotional appeal, but you're right. What does that really accomplish? Are they going to get their currency back? Are they going to still live in debt-based currency? Are the banksters going to flee on boats like the president?
Well, that's the thing. The president is just one small cog in a very big machine. So you have to you have to have a multi-pronged attack. Bankers, politicians, you have to hit them all at once or one by one and replace them with your guys that's well versed in politics and law that can, affect real change. But then where's your military to defend all that when the other countries see that y'all pulling a Haiti for the most part? Nobody wants to be Haiti. And I don't think nobody wants to admit that or say that out loud. No country wants to end up like Haiti. Yeah, they the first country to get the independence back from. But look at what it cost them, and it's still costing them to this day.
Right.
They never came out of it.
Right.
So I don't think it sounds nice. Yeah, let's storm the castle. We're gonna take back our gun. It sounds nice, but then in the reality, yeah, you can sure change your government and affect your country, but then you got these other countries with bigger guns pointed at you like, y'all messing up the flow of commerce. We can't have this.
Right. Yeah. And like you're saying, they're watching themselves on television in the palace. Like it's so Inception levels of, you're right. I'm going to be more reserved with the way I look at these things, but yeah. I see.
I mean, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy they did it, but I'm like, come on, man. All right, enough is enough.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. In terms of other governments, do you see this happening? Possibly, they say Canada could be next.
No, the way they lay down, Canadians lay down too much. They're not gonna. They still have people wearing masks there.
Okay.
And I only know all this because I got friends in Canada, and they tell me Trudeau runs that place. They lay down. They lay down.
I see, and that's the thing, the laying down, and it's like, they come at the people with so many psyops and just mind blowing things that, I believe it's like, a million cuts kind of thing, and the morale of the people, it just, I don't know. What do you see out in California in terms of, are are things back to normal, or what do you sense that there's been a shift in the people in your community, or what?
Here's the problem. Here's what I've noticed. Two types of people. People that are going to leave have left, and I'll come back to that point in a minute. And then the people that stay, they just kind of take it and say, you know what, I've been here for so long. I'm used to it now. I'm used to the abuse. You know, we're okay, right? And then those that do leave, do they take that California mindset with them to other states?
Right.
So that's two problems in one. This normal thing, I don't think. Listen, I don't think it'll ever. I don't know what normal is anymore. Because even 4 years ago, what you thought was normal back then was like, nah, that's, it's such a wide open liberal state. Don't get me wrong. There's red cities, but the state is just so wide open liberally, and I don't see. It only gets worse from here.
Wow.
Even me and the missus are like, how much longer do we want to be here? Now I could. What's the sense of me being 1,000-aire in California when I could be a millionaire in Texas?
Okay.
But I like the weather. It's California. It still has some ambiance to it, despite what people say about it in the news. And it's like, I need to, kind of come up with a decision, figure out what I want to do. But there's, and then the homelessness. Oh my God, the homelessness is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're spreading. They're spreading Beverly Hills, Rancho Cucamonga. They're starting to spread out in Calabasas now. That's Kardashian country.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
I used to live in Thousand Oaks, and I can't even imagine. Like, oh my God, right? The bubble, as we called it. Now, in terms of like, I've noticed in listening to you, you have a really good relationship with your father, which is so commendable. I love that. And it's so inspiring to hear you talk about your father. He loves his dad, y'all. Now he's got a good father. And in terms of the way that you look at, like, say, God as a father type of thing, like you mentioned that earlier, but I was wondering, like, connections between people who have such a really good relationship with their father, it's easier to look at maybe God as a father. Could you speak to that? Like, what is your process when it comes to, like, belief that way?
That's funny, because my dad, he's one of those. He would question the Bible, like he hated going to church, and every time he went to church, he got into it with the pastor, and he would say, like, I would never do this to you, like I would never do this to my kids, like I don't care. He said, you can go kill 1 million people, I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you. And I'm a little kid, like, yeah. Now that I have children, I'm like, you know what? Hell yeah, I wouldn't want nothing bad to happen. I don't care what my kids did. So. But I do believe in the higher power. I just think in my limited human capacity, I try not to apply human thought and logic to something I can't see or something that's greater than me. But even then, it's like, this shit, it's not adding up to me. It doesn't make sense to me. I know it's there, and one day hopefully I get my answers. But that's part of the disconnect I have with the guys down the street, the manosphere, because I have a dad. Like, he texts me on my birthday. Like, he tells me he loves me. He gives me money still. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he loves my granddaughter. Like, I have this that they don't have, they never grew up with, so they can't understand why I'm not as angry or upset when it comes to certain relationships with people or genders and stuff. So, yeah, my relationship with my dad is everything, and I try to give my daughter that as well too. So, but yeah, I'm a child of God. Now, what God that is, I don't know, but some deity claims me. So, somebody looking out for me.
I love it. I love it. Now, I appreciate this time that you spent with us. I hope you come back. I want to kind of ask you, in closing out, what do you see in terms of the healing of, I guess, the gender issue? What do you think will happen? Do you think that there will be a turning point in terms of some of the rhetoric? Will it cool down, or do you see it ramping up, or what do you think a good answer for it would be?
Oh, it's going to ramp up because everyone's making money off of it now. It's turned into its own cottage industry. the best way I can describe it, this gender war thing. Look, black men and black women were united under Jim Crow. The moment Jim Crow was removed, and you had pretty much free will, gave them civil rights, you can do whatever what you want to do. So this is what happens when you have basically choice to do and be with whomever you want. There is no need for race loyalty at this point. There's no oppressor, and I'm using that term very lightly. But there's nobody, you know what I'm saying? There's no burning crosses in your front yard, and there's no trucks, guys with shotguns looking for you. It's just, the reality is, people are going to do what they want to do with their own choices and their own discretion. Now you see that, and then the women have been empowered to a point where they feel they don't need their man. Okay, that's cool. And the men feel slighted. Okay, cool. You know what? You go somewhere else. Go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And that's for both genders. But secretly, it's like, I hate you, but I love you. I still want to fuck with you, but you making me mad. I'm mad at you right now.
That's what it does feel like. It's like
listen, for all those angry guys, all it takes is that woman to be like, I'm sorry, daddy. Lay down, let me take care of you. Let me make it feel better. And it's over.
The war's over. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
great. You're not gonna browbeat these women into going back into the old ways of behavior, how your mama used to be, grandmother used to be. These women are free. They're going to experience life. They don't care how many losses they take or setbacks. They don't care. And once you understand that, then you can move accordingly. But it's not all bad with women, but we like to focus on our gender, our race of women, because that's the most prevalent. That's proximity. But I can't listen. We've all had our asses kicked by a woman. I tell dudes, but okay, you can't live in that hurt and that pain. You got to at some point get over that shit. And we had 5 to 6, 7 years of y'all on this internet complaining. Okay, but the women have moved on to politics. They moved into finance. They're mastering economics. You got a twerking senator that has more power than all you guys online. Y'all make the videos about her. Guess what? She's not sorry. She still goes into her seat at the Senate. What are you going to do with a woman like that?
Nothing, apparently.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, I thought of one more question. Yeah. I don't know why I want to know this. How do you prepare for these times? Are you doing like a bunker? What are you doing? Do you feel the need to stock up, or do you think everything will just come back to I don't know. What are you thinking?
No, I have a place I can go to that if things get bad. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. That's all. All right. Well, again, I want to thank you so much, Brother Sly. This was so much fun. I hope you come and hang out with me again.
Yo, anytime.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah. Everybody, just give some love to our good brother. And I want to thank you all. I didn't get into the Chatmosphere as much as I wanted because I was so focused. But again, thank you, brother. God bless you and your family. All right.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And everybody, I'll check in with you and look at the Chatmosphere, but I love you all. And I thank you for joining this special night class with SupaSly. Can you tell them where to find you, please, before you leave?
Don't come to my channel. It's a mess. It's a hot mess.
All right. Well,
no, I'm just playing. No, it's on YouTube, SupaSly75. Backup channel is Heavily Flawed Individual. So that's where I be. My IG is a mess. My Twitter's a mess, but YouTube is where you can SupaSly75. That's where I be.
Right. And I'll put the link in so you can go straight over to his channel and check him out. Take care again, and I'll see you soon, everybody. All right.
Indeed. Have a good night.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.